Well, in that same piece, I begin by saying Biden is an accidental president. So part of what's going on here is that normally presidents come to the office with enormous personal political capital. After all, they've won the presidency. But Biden is accidental in the sense that he basically became president for two reasons. One, Obama chose him as his vice president, and second, Donald Trump. He was the not Donald Trump alternative on the ballot. And so as a result, when you think back of presidents, Kennedy, Obama, Clinton, even somebody like George Bush, they had a certain kind of charisma and personal political capital that they could use. Biden, I think, lacks some of that. But the overwhelming problem is he's passed a lot of stuff that people like. He's handled his office, in my opinion, with decency and grace. He's a good man. But we're living through very complicated times. People expected the pandemic to be over, but it's not over. It's grinding on in this strange way where just when you thought it was safe to get back in the water, it's not safe. America's position in the world is complicated. We get out of Afghanistan that everyone thought was good, but it's a messy, awful, humiliating experience. The economy is doing well, on some measures, but you have inflation. So all of it leads to a very unsatisfying feeling. And for the president who promised we're going to get back to normal, where we're past the weird abnormality of Donald Trump, the weird abnormality of COVID, I'm going to restore normalcy. Well, it's not normal. Not yet, at least.
So I would say your first part slightly different. He benefited from the daily split screen where there was this comparison with Donald Trump. And now that's just no longer the case, especially when Trump is missing his access to social media. My second factor would be that given the partisan times in which we live, unless America is at war, the days of a president having a 60% approval rating are over. The third point that I would make is I don't know that you're giving due credit to things that aren't going well on his watch, whether it's the continuation of COVID, inflation, the border, the withdrawal of Afghanistan, which seemed haphazard. I mean, there are a number of things that, for better or worse, they've happened on his watch, and he needs to be held accountable for them.
Right. But what I would say is on Afghanistan, look, the truth of the matter is Americans don't vote on foreign policy. They subcontracted that to the president. They wanted to get out of Afghanistan. Yes, it was messy. As I said at the time, he handled it badly, but truthfully, there is no elegant way to get out of a war that you've been losing for 10 years. And, maybe they could have done a few of the sequencing better. But at the end of the day, the fundamental problem, the people who really should be held to account are the people who kept telling us we were winning this war for 15 years when exactly the opposite was true. So I think when you look at, things like COVID, you and I both know, Michael, if more of the country adopted the strategy that he and, all the public health officials say we should adopt, which is get vaccinated, we would be in a very different space. Yes, we would have problems, but we'd be in a very different space. I don't mean to minimize the mistakes he's made, but my point is he's at 45%. That's very low. That's kind of that's in the range of somebody who has really had a cataclysmic series of failures and mistakes. And that's not really where Biden is. He's at a point where somebody who's been truly venal and kind of immoral in his. That's not Biden. There's something else going on here, which is what I was trying to explain.
Well, you prompted a great conversation. I took note of the fact that there were, I think, nearly 5,000 comments appended to your piece at the time that I first read it. Fareed, thank you so much for being here.
Always a pleasure, Michael.
More with Fareed Zakaria, GPS, 10 a.m. Eastern on Sunday. Biden's prospects hinge on tonight's survey question, by the way. Haven't even mentioned it till now, but I'd love if you'd go to my website at smerconish.com quickly and answer this. It's the old, are you better off financially?